Hey, and what's going on, everybody? And you guys know who it is, and we're just going to go and try and hop right on into this here for the third round of our video mock with some of the great folks you see at Dynasty League Football contributing to some of the information you're going to need in order to help you with your rookie drafts. First and second round has gone pretty much as scripted in what you guys have probably been seeing in some of the ADP and mock data since the NFL draft. But now here in the third round, you have to squint a little bit harder to see some of the value, as some of these guys might have a longer path to touches. So let me shut up and let you guys get right on into it. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you after all the picks.
My final pick in this exercise, I went with Anthony McFarland, the newest member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dynamic, explosive runner, 5'8", 208 pounds, or however much he weighs. But the dude can move out of Maryland. Brings a different dimension to that Pittsburgh backfield. You know, James Conner is probably not long for the Steelers, may not be around in 2021. Jalen Samuels is not a very good running back. He can catch a ball out of the backfield, but between the tackles, that's not really what you want him doing. And Benny Snell seems to be just a guy. So Anthony McFarland brings a different kind of pop and dimension to that offense. He's got that big play speed, catch the ball out of the backfield, and is explosive as hell. So right here at 301, hey, I feel good about getting an upside running back who probably could walk into an RB2 role sooner rather than later. Rounding out my draft, CEH, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Anthony McFarland.
What's going on? This is Bruce Mattson, senior staff writer of DynastyLeagueFootball.com, and I'm here to make my pick in DLF's rookie mock draft. With the second pick of the third round, I'm going to be drafting Darrynton Evans, running back from App State, who got drafted by the Tennessee Titans. What I like about him is he is an athletic prospect. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash at 203 pounds, and he also has decent draft capital. He was drafted in the third round, so he is going to get some opportunity somewhere down the line. He's going to be playing behind Derrick Henry early on in his career, but Henry got hit with the franchise tag this year. There's a chance he may not be with the team next year, which could open things up for Evans and possibly another back to share the workload. I don't look at Evans as a full-time, long-term feature back, but I know he can hold the load down for a little while. I see this opportunity coming eventually. I can't see the Titans signing Henry to a long-term deal this late in his career at this age when they can just get it back for cheaper. Evans is going to be on a rookie salary, and they can just draft another guy and let him share the workload. But even if Henry's still with the team, Evans could get some workload down the line, taking some touches, seeing some catches out of the backfield, and just easing into the opportunities. And at this point in the draft, I'm drafting upside. I'm drafting athletic prospects. And if I can get a running back that's athletic, that could potentially get a full-time workload down the road, Darrynton Evans is the type of guy I'm going to be drafting. Darrynton Evans all the way at this point in the draft. And in the third round, I'm going to cash it in.
Hey guys, it's me again, Kane Fassell at Devi_Kane on Twitter. I'm back at it with the 303. Really had an interesting pick here. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to reach for a guy like Tyler Johnson here, who's definitely a big I'm a big fan of his. Love Tyler Johnson. At the same time, there was a guy in Van Jefferson who got crazy high draft capital, higher than I really thought he was going to. So I was really surprised with that. And I think, it's just really, really interesting to see a guy drafted this high that, in the second round, pick 25, that's going this late in rookie drafts. I think that's not something that we see often. We saw that he never really broke out through college, his senior year being the best year, only having 49 receptions, 657 yards. That was just his second season with Florida after transferring after his sophomore year at Ole Miss. I think if we're just looking at the chances of someone to be utilized in an offense, which that's what we're really doing in the third round, right? Is we just want to find someone that gives us the best chance to score points, because we know that's the hit rates on third round picks are very, very low. So we see them spend this second round draft capital on Van Jefferson, and that's something that I'll take a shot at in the third round, right? We're not sure, what's going to happen with that offense. Are they moving more to a 2 tight end set? But at the same time, Brandon Cooks is no longer there. Someone has to fill that role as well. And they really use their wide receivers interchangeably on that team, whether they're walking in the slot, whether they're working outside. And then we see that Bobby Woods, my man Bobby Woods, only having a couple years left on his deal. Who knows what's going to happen after that? So in time, you would assume that Van Jefferson's really going to step up into that role. And with the third round draft capital here that I'm putting into him at the 303, I can easily see that return. In all reality, if he's just putting up some top 24 weeks, that's a win for me. If I'm able to use him in a spot start situation, those are the guys I want to take a chance on, and that's a no-brainer for me. He has terrific route running, something that they really view highly at the Rams organization. Obviously, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp being really great route runners, the way that they can get in and out of the breaks, the way that they sink their hips and catch with their hands rather than their bodies. I think that's really important, and I think that's why Van Jefferson has a great chance to be just a great value at this price at 303. Easy choice for me here.
Frank Gruber here with the 304. I'm taking Lynn Bowden, a player that I have taken in each of my 3 post-NFL draft rookie drafts. I love his draft capital, his athleticism, versatility. It's a great match for today's NFL. Like him much more than the other running backs and receivers that are in this range. I love P. Ryan. I love his pass catching ability and gotten him in a few teams, but I'm taking Bowden over him every time. Definitely over DeeJay Dallas. And then the even next lower tier. So love Bowden with what he might be able to do with the running back designation as well. I'm going to catch a ton of passes and used very creatively.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dwight Peebles at FF Peebles Champ on Twitter. I'm back on the clock with the 305, and I'm going to take Eno Benjamin here. There's a lot of things I like about his game. I really loved him a lot coming into the season. He had a less than stellar season, but he was also running behind an atrocious offensive line and an offense defenses that at time were keyed in on Eno. So there's a lot of things to like about his game, mainly the pass catching aspect of it. He did catch 35 balls his sophomore year while also running for 1,600 yards this season. He caught 42 balls, and he only ran for 1,000 rushing yards. So he's got the all-around aspect. He's got Kenyon Drake ahead of him, which I know everybody's like, Kenyon Drake's the greatest thing. I see him going crazy early in drafts. And the fact of the matter is Kenyon's never really been the lead back for a long time on an offense. I do like Kenyon Drake. But if something goes wrong with Kenyon Drake, I think the path to Eno having a role there is pretty darn good in Arizona. So I will take Eno Benjamin, the pass-catching upside. He might get a chance to get in there and, get some third down work early, possibly get to see the field early. So there is a path to a role in Arizona, and that's all you can ask for when you're going into the third round, a running back with a shot. So 305. Eno Benjamin, Arizona State.
Everyone, this is Michael Moore, staff writer at Dynasty League Football, and with the 6th pick in the 3rd round of the DLF post-draft mock, I'm taking Devin Duvernay, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. At this point in rookie drafts, I tend to look at lottery tickets, and Duvernay is a perfect example of that. Drafted in the 3rd round of the actual draft, he played the entire season in the slot at Texas and turned that role into a 1,000-yard season. He's a freak of an athlete with 4.39 speed and a spark score in the 93rd percentile, both of which the Ravens are looking to take advantage of. The pick is not dissimilar to the Ravens' 3rd round pick last year, Miles Boykin. Boykin was also fast and scored a crazy spark score, which sent his stock soaring last year. Now, it didn't necessarily translate into production on the field, which is probably why the Ravens felt compelled to draft another receiver this high. Willie Snead currently mans the slot for the Ravens and counts for more than $5 million against the cap this year, so he's probably not going anywhere. But he's only signed through this year and will be 28 by the end of it. 2020 may be a redshirt year for Duvernay, but he appears to be part of the long-term plan in Baltimore.
With the 31st pick in the DLF post-draft YouTube mock, I'm selecting Antonio Gandy-Golden, receiver, Washington Redskins. As with every draft, as the pick approaches, you start to build a mental shortlist of players who might be available at your pick. My list for this pick was Devin Duvernay, Adam Trotman, and Antonio Gandy-Golden. Duvernay's selection helped narrow that list down, and while I think Trotman is also an excellent small school prospect in his own right, I've selected the player I think is more talented and has more long-term upside. That's Gandy-Golden. AGG has many of the things I'm looking for in a late-round dynasty prospect. He's highly productive in college, has 6'4" size, 4th-round draft capital, and an immediate opportunity to earn a lasting role in the offense. While his skill set is pretty similar to Kelvin Harmon's, there's definitely a fit there for a big possession contested ball receiver opposite field stretcher Terry McLaurin and slot receiver Trey Quinn. Harmon didn't exactly impress in the late season opportunity he did receive, and I think AGG was taken early enough that he's going to get an equal footing with Harmon and a very good chance to earn a receiver 2 or receiver 3 role in that offense.
What's up, everyone? Back at you with the last pick of the DLF YouTube mock draft for me in the 3rd round. With the 8th pick, I decided to go with someone who's been getting quite a bit of steam recently, and it's DeeJay Dallas. You know, he was taken in the 4th round of the NFL draft to the Seattle Seahawks. He's someone that, you know, I wasn't really doing too much digging on, but you know, Garrett Price and some other guys that I really trusted actually turned me on to him. So I started looking into him a bit more, and you know, I think his athletic profile probably doesn't do him a whole lot of justice, because if you watch the film, one thing I noticed was that he was able to get up to speed really quickly. So I think his acceleration and burst is actually pretty good. And in terms of his landing spot, you know, obviously he fell out of day 2, so it's not ideal, but in the 3rd round of the rookie draft, you're not going to really have too many day 2 capital running backs left. And Seattle is known to be a place where, you know, it's a merit-based team, right, where the best players play. Russell Wilson got there, you know, Chris Carson is there, and these are all guys that obviously beat out guys with higher draft capital ahead of them. You know, Pete Carroll is someone that we know who basically punts draft capital aside. You know, Chris Carson made Penny a bench warmer for the better part of 2 years. So, you know, if there is a place for him to get some opportunity, this is it, because Carson is not healthy. He's never finished the season healthy. Penny got injured late in the year, so my guess is he'll probably be on the pup. And all they have to do is beat out prior year, 6th round pick Travis Homer to do it. And Travis Homer is pretty much just a jag. So from an opportunity perspective for a 3rd round draft pick, this is exactly the type of profile that you want to target, because they're going to give you the opportunity to get on the field, hopefully get some production, and allow you to either flip for value or just, you know, get a potential weekly flex or RB3, RB4 consideration for deeper leagues. So he's kind of someone that's been a good target that I've been going for in the 3rd round, and hopefully you guys have the same amount of luck, because I think it could be a pretty good start going forward.
At 309 in the DLF post-draft YouTube rookie mock, I select Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, Minnesota. Tyler Johnson was selected in the 5th round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, as many people know, I definitely value most of my valuations around draft capital, so taking a day 3 guy is not my favorite thing to do. But at 309 in the rookie drafts, all the day 2 guys are gone. Everyone who's worth taking is gone, so now you got to look to day 3. And when I go to day 3, I don't just look for, who was taken in the 4th round or who was taken to the best landing spot. I look for who was the most productive player available. And for me, that was Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson had 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns in 2018, 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns in 2019, and that goes along with 2 seasons of 15 yards per catch. So he's a downfield threat and a productive asset, and he's going to Tampa. Yes, Tampa has invested a day 3 pick in each of the last 3 drafts with Justin Watson, Scotty Miller, and now Tyler Johnson. The difference is Tyler Johnson all 3 were productive in college, but the difference is Tyler Johnson did his production in the Big Ten at a Power 5 school. So that separates him from the pack of the potential Buccaneers wide receiver 3s, and I think that's the best possible pick at this 309. It's Tyler Johnson, a nice young productive wide receiver, nice breakout age, and he's in a situation where he could be a wide receiver 3 in an explosive offense, whether it's Brady or whoever the next quarterback is.
With the 10th pick in the 3rd round of the post-draft rookie mock, I am selecting LaMichael P. Ryan, running back for the New York Jets. I think that he was one of the biggest winners of this draft when you consider where a lot of the landing spots were for these top backs. Perine goes to a backfield that consists of, I guess now Frank Gore and Le'Veon Bell. So two aging backs, both who have a really, really good pedigree. But Perine is a great prospect to come in and be that change of pace type back in this offense. And, outside of what we're expecting from Le'Veon Bell in 2020, I think Perine could be a guy that comes in immediately as that spell back. And even I really see him taking snaps away from Le'Veon Bell towards the end of the season based on where the Jets are at in the season. I think that his pedigree coming into the draft, dropping all the way to where he did to the Jets, I think that it's a great move for them to bring in a weapon like him. He adds just some great versatility, similar to what Le'Veon Bell brings to an offense, but just some youth, fresh legs, and I think that he really makes an impact. So with the 10th pick in the third round, LaMichael Perine, running back from Florida with the New York Jets.
Tom Kislingbury here. With the 11th pick in the third round, I'm selecting Joshua Kelley, running back of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm really happy with this one. So Kelley is one of those guys who even a week ago was going relatively late in rookie drafts. He's certainly not in that top group of running backs and probably not even the second group. But you're seeing opinions change about the third group at the moment. So Anthony McFarland is moving up and some people are jumping on him. And some people like lots of other people. Darrynton Evans, he's floating around. But I'm a big fan of Kelley. I think there's a role for somebody to come in straight away. So everyone is super excited about Austin Ekeler. And Ekeler was amazing last year. He was brilliant. He played on his own for those first 4 weeks of the season when Melvin Gordon wasn't on the team. And he did really brilliantly well. But after that, he changed role quite a lot. So something like 45% of all his carries for the whole season were in that first 4 weeks. And afterwards, he had 12 weeks with 50% of his carries, 55%, something like that. Basically, when there were two backs on there, the Chargers only used Ekeler as a receiving back. That was his role. He was extremely heavy receiving back, didn't get a huge amount of carries. And he's good enough to do both. He is. But I don't think the Chargers want to use Ekeler as a bell cow back. That would be bizarre. They had to for 4 weeks, but it doesn't look like it. So somebody else is going to be part of that backfield committee. I look at Justin Jackson and go, you're a fairly lightweight guy. I don't think you're going to walk into that early down rushing role that Melvin Gordon had. You look at Kelley and think, you're not the most talented guy in the world, but you are an early down rusher and you can handle carries on the first and second down. And I think there's going to be a role for that. Now, don't get me wrong, he's not going to have 250 carries. He's not churning out 1,200 yards and scoring 8 touchdowns. Not going to happen. But if he ends up with 100, 150 carries, that's going to turn into production. He's going to get some yards. He's going to get some touchdowns. And that's a lot better than I expect from a lot of rookie running backs. Someone like Anthony McFarland, you're sort of hoping he wins a role in that committee. If Joshua Kelley's got 50-50 chance of doing it, I'm really happy with that. So down here at the bottom of the third round, I think it's an acceptable price. And even if he sort of gets that sort of semi-okay year, I can flip him for more value next year. So really happy with Kelley as the pick.
Well, I am on the clock at the 312, the last pick of the draft, and it's slim pickings at this point. This isn't a super flex draft, so there's a couple quarterbacks that don't present any value here. And obviously, this is not a tight end premium league either. So a lot of the tight ends that typically get shots taken in the fourth round, I'm not interested in this format. Especially if it's a 3-round draft, I'll just let those guys go to waivers. So with the 312, I'll just take a shot on a receiver, decent draft capital. I'll take Gabriel Davis from Central Florida. Ran a 4.5, 4.40, 80th percentile breakout age. He gets decent draft capital here, and I think people may be pushing him down boards. The ADP data that I've tracked myself in over 50 PPR Superflex leagues has him going outside of the top 48 picks. I think his ADP is a little bit higher in other places, but I think it's decent value. 4th round draft capital, 22nd pick of the 4th round to the Bills. And maybe just a little bit of stink on this guy's profile because he went with the Bills and clearly behind Cole Beasley, John Brown, Stephon Diggs. So we don't really see any immediate playing time. And they also took a receiver in the 6th round that I like as well, in Isaiah Hodgins. So I think he's a decent shot. Could potentially fill in one of those roles in the future. We'll see what happens with John Brown after this year. But I think at this point, getting a receiver that was drafted, we have to remember this was a great wide receiver draft. So 4th round draft capital in this class isn't anything to necessarily poo-poo. I think it's a really good place for a receiver to get drafted in this draft, just given how many of them that there were. And I mean, we look at where like Antonio Gandy Golden got drafted and Tyler Johnson got drafted. You know, these guys are already off the board in this mock draft. So I'll take Gabriel Davis here, just a shot. You know, obviously he's still a day 3 receiver, but decent draft capital. I liked him pre-draft and actually went a little bit lower than I would think he would have gone. But I think at this point it's appropriate to take a shot on a guy. When I'm taking a shot this late, I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for, one, an immediate path to playing time. Typically that's going to be with a running back. You know, I'd like to take a running back that's maybe a 4th or 5th round pick at this point, just to hope they make the roster. You know, if you can make the 3 deep on a starting roster opening day, you have a shot if you're a running back, especially the way that teams are designing their backfields now. Typically, you know, the teams will take their starter, back them up with somebody that does something different, you know, maybe like a 3rd down back. And then the 3rd string guy or the 3rd running back that dresses will kind of be like a hybrid of both, but probably more like an early down guy that can fill in, you know, in spot places. So I like taking those kind of shots on running backs, but there were none available here that I liked. So the next thing would be I'd like to take a shot on a guy that has some upside, decent profile. And given his draft capital, the most important thing is this isn't going to be a wasted pick. He is going to make the roster, you know, probably more than a 90% chance of making the roster. Some guys end up just not making it. I remember Gary Jennings last year kind of fit this mold, ended up not even making out of camp. But I think picking a guy this late that's going to make the team has a chance to either grow into a role in year 2 or potentially get on the field early in year 1. So Gabriel Davis is my pick. That ends the draft, and hopefully everybody enjoyed all the picks. I think it was a great exercise. Talk to y'all later.
And that's it, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the 3rd round. I'm thinking that a lot of the picks here are guys that I want to have towards the end of my rookie draft here in the 3rd round. Darrynton Evans, Devin Duvernay, Antonio Gandy Golden. I mean, those are guys that I want to try and I can squint and see the upside in each of them, but we kind of have to play the long game in order to figure out what their value is going to look like in the coming season. So if you have any questions, definitely come and find us. I mean, you can see us on Twitter, guys like Ryan McDowell, Addison Hayes, Adam Wilde. I mean, some of my guys, Ray Garvin. I mean, all those guys are posting, trying to find out or trying to give out information, but we also want to hear from you guys. So interact with those guys. Come and ask us more mailbag questions. Come and check out our content over on YouTube. Ton of options for you to continue to help this community grow and help us to learn more. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the mock, and y'all take care.